Every week, the Payne family cuts straight to the real financial story.
The one question, Bob, everyone's asking is, are we in an artificial intelligence bubble? You've been through boom and bust. What do you think?
No hype, no myths. Just what actually matters to your money.
Does feel very similar to what we experienced in the 90s. Where are we, though? Are we in 1995, 1997, 1999?
Listen to the Pain Points of Wealth on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Sunday morning. With us today is Tidal McCoy, and he was the Assistant Secretary of the Air Force for 8 years, and now he's a venture capitalist. And Tidal McCoy, you always keep your ear to the ground. Can you tell us and tell the American people, what do you think is going on with all the problems we have around the world?
Well, John, thanks. It's very good to be on with you this morning and with the other guests that you have on Sunday morning. I think that we're really seeing the culmination of a reordering. People are readjusting their strategies, the major powers. A lot of times people think of the major powers as China, Russia, and the United States. But they forget a lot of other major players, such as Europe, although they're 3 or 4 times the size of Russia. The United States is 20 or 30 times the size of Russia in terms of economics. China is much more so. I think what we're seeing is that the president, either consciously or in some cases unconsciously, has adopted what has worked for him in the past with great success, with the kind of really an integrated strategy that is really not understood by most people, including some of our adversaries, where people connect his behavior to Trump derangement syndrome, when in fact that's not the case. What he's really undertaking here is a distraction and detachment syndrome that is very much detaching the neutral countries, such as countries in Africa, Latin America, the subcontinent, India, the Middle East, from the countries that are really part of the axis of evil. Iran and Russia, North Korea, and China. And the idea is to start to detach other countries away from having diplomatic, military, and economic connectivity and relations, decouple those countries, bring them more into a community of nations that are willing to work for freedom and prosperity, and then slowly isolate the main supporting actors of really the country that is of greatest danger to the United States, which is China. They have the people, the money, the power, the economy to really be a threat, and have announced that they are a threat to many nations in the world and are wishing to increase their domination thereof. So I think the president, whether he's making peace in the Middle East, helping to shore up security in nations like Nigeria or Venezuela, is really beginning to connect the dots geopolitically worldwide so that he can constrain the behavior of really the major actor, which is China, which has been using Russia and others as their cat's paw, as their leading effort to undermine U.S. and Western security. So I think that the effects are very good. They're very strong. They're continuing, and that leaders are rallying to him around the world, saying that America is willing to use its influence and use its knowledge and its economics, whether we're going after bad guys with selling arms, conducting diplomatic activities, placing tariffs on countries. We're helping our friends for a change and punishing our enemies, which was just the opposite of what was happening in previous administration under President Biden. So I think everything is really going well for 2026 on the national security front as well as the economic front, and that we're going to see a resurgence of support for the United States and for freedom and democracy around the world, whether it's in the European theater or over in the Asian theater. We're having people reevaluate things, and they see that it is not going to be a Chinese century, and it is going to be a very strong ability of the Americans to lead the rest of the world in an order that is able to contend with the rise of China, which is, of course, a fact that we have to deal with. But it's not a fact that we have to just lay down and let the Chinese walk over us, whether it's inside our own country with their Confucius Institutes and their illegal police stations and their technology theft and their economic tricks. We have to get ourselves organized with the rest of the world to confront that, and that's what the rest of the world has been waiting for, and I think that's what they're seeing right now.
I saw the other day they had the most powerful militaries in the world, and the United States is number 1, Russia is number 2, and China is number 3. I didn't realize that Russia has that big of a military.
Well, they have this huge draft military. A lot of them are prisoners. A lot of them are forced minorities. You know, Russia has like 180 languages. It's really what they call it, the Russian Federation is the real name, and it is a federation. It's a federation of a lot of states, small states. Most of the huge territory of Russia is empty space, frozen space, and a lot of people, sort of joke that it's Russia is a gas company masquerading as a country. And that has been what has saved them, is having natural deposits of hydrocarbons and other minerals, and having a large population of many small groups of people, about 20% are Muslims, that they've been able to dominate from Moscow and St. Petersburg. And they've been able to create that Russian empire on and off. It rises and falls over, many years since 1200 A.D. When they founded the town of Muscovy, which is now Moscow. And the original belief of the Russian elite, including Putin, is that the origin of the Russian state took place in Kiev, took place in the Ukraine, and that's the reason they want the Ukrainian territory and the Ukrainian country back so much. They believe that was Kievan Rus was the orbit, was the beginning of the Russian state, and this is what's led to such historical hallucinations by President Putin.
Now, the other interesting chart I saw this morning is that in population, India is number 1 at 1.4 billion something, and China is number 2 now, and number 3 is the United States of America, 350 million people, and the Russians only have 144 million people.
Well, that's what is so very strange is the Nigerian country is about 230 million. Nigeria is the biggest country in Africa and the biggest economy, and they're much bigger than even the Russians. The Russians' main claim to fame is nuclear weapons, scientific capability, and hydrocarbons. And
is that the nuclear weapons they originally got from the Germans after World War II?
No, the Germans were working on nuclear weapons, but they took a path of technology development which failed, trying to use heavy water, which was coming out of Sweden, which we bombed and Norway during World War II. We took a different approach to creating the atom bomb under Oppenheimer, and so we were successful, fortunately ahead of the Germans. But the Russian nuclear program comes from the theft of the secrets from Los Alamos by the Rosenberg, the famous trial of Julius and Ethel Rosenberg. They penetrated the Los Alamos nuclear program and stole both the secrets of the atom bomb and the hydrogen bomb, and developed those shortly after we did, so that then we were not the only ones that had the nuclear capability. And of course, the Russians, realizing how important it was, they rapidly built up their nuclear forces to try and, with the Red Army after World War II, to dominate and control Eastern Europe, which, of course, they did for many, many years. The Soviet Union used to have 15 countries in it, and they had the Warsaw Pact, which was 7 countries, and they had many other communist countries around the world. So under Reagan, before Reagan got there, they were an expanding empire of domination and ideological stamina, and they were very energetic and so forth. But when confronted by the Reagan administration with the inherent weaknesses that were part of communism in terms of both their ideology and their economy and their economic solutions to problems, they were able to be exposed. Their people were exposed. The people in the country were exposed to the failed policies of the leadership, and eventually using public diplomacy, Radio Free Europe, Radio Liberty, and others, the Russians and a detente. They decided that the Americans were too difficult, and let's just keep what we have. And but as President Reagan was famously said, which was very much a surprise to his National Security Council staff, I'm not interested in containment. What I want rollback. I want to free people. I want to free hundreds of millions of people by being smart, tough, and that's what he did. And that was the great victory of the Americans during that period, and freed many people from slavery and domination. And
you were there.
Unfortunately, yeah, I was there.
You served under the Reagan administration for 8 years.
Yes, I did. It was a great honor and great to be able to see how it worked and help the president and the National Security Council staff formulate and come up with a program such as the stealth fighter and the stealth bombers, which were used in the Iranian raid. We developed many of the systems today that are on the ground, that are technologically advanced, so that if we have to go to war, we can win the war today. And if we have to win a war in the future, then, of course, that's where the advanced development and research and development has to be paid for. That's going on now. And so I think we're very fortunate. We have this group of people in the administration led by a president who is forceful and has his own mind, the same way that President Reagan did, who said we are not going to be satisfied with half measures, and we're not going to be on the defensive in supporting democracy and American security. We're going to be, if need be, we're going to be on the offensive, and that's what he is. And so that's a brave and smart thing to do. I call it the Trump distraction and detachment strategy. He's distracting people. In the meantime, he's detaching enemies that work together from each other, and he's making their life very, very difficult.
Tidal McCoy, I want to thank you for coming on this Sunday morning in the new year, the first Sunday in the new year, and bringing the American people up to par, and let's have a great 2026.
Sounds good. I look forward to it. We're going to keep working and supporting the information flow that you so vitally provide to the American people, and we'll keep everybody apprised of what we're seeing and what we're hearing.
Listen to this podcast now on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The Leadership Thread with Dr. Peggy Polonis.
I'm Dr. Peggy Polonis. Join me on each episode where I unravel the story that shaped leaders, tracing the thread that led them where they are today. Because leadership isn't born in adulthood. And thank you once again for joining us on the Leadership Thread, education, ethics, and sustainability.
Download all of Red Apple Media's podcasts right now through your favorite podcast platform.
Starting a business can seem like a daunting task, unless you have a partner like Shopify. They have the tools you need to start and grow your business. From designing a website to marketing to selling and beyond, Shopify can help with everything you need. There's a reason millions of companies like Mattel, Heinz, and Allbirds continue to trust and use them. With Shopify on your side, turn your big business idea into... Sign up for your $1 per month trial at shopify.com/special offer.